Boo, welcome back to Venture 82. So today we're in Darlington. This apparently is the oldest railway bridge in the world. We'll come back and we'll have a close look at that later, but what we're actually here now is to see what's a relatively new thing. Just up the way here, Darlington have got kind of what I can best describe as their own kind of version of the railway museum in Hopetown. I've not been there before, only opened I think last year. So we're here to have an explore, and because I'm a bit of a puffer nutter I suppose, they've got a special exhibition at the moment where they've got some stuff on loan from the railway museum, so what's not to like? That way. Also, in my cool frame. Right, so we're now in the station area, been through reception. There's going to be interesting because there's actually a group of kids visiting today from a school, so I'm going to have to make sure that I don't catch them. That should make it a bit more fun. But so this is laid out over what would have been back in the day the old North Road station. So you've got, that's the main reception building there, which would have been part of the station back in the day. You've got this massive thing here, which is what we're going to go into now, which is the old station building. Through there they've got displays and stuff from the platform, etc. But what I think is quite cool up this end, which I want to show you just before we disappear into the old station building, is that they've gone to an awful lot of effort to preserve the layout of the station without having train track in the way, if you like. So what they've done is they've laid this out like this, but what they've done is they've laid these rows of stone out with the grey stone either side, and they've got a section over there which will probably pop up now because I've already previously filmed it for you to see, where to show you where the train tracks would have been as they went in. So you can see one leads off straight up that way and into the main big door there, another one goes into the slightly smaller door on the other side. But that's really quite a cool thing. The other thing I think is really cool is these, on the way that you've got a QR code truck at the bottom you can scan, and for people who can't read it or don't pick up very well from reading, you can listen to someone talking to you about it and tell you about it that way. Or, not being cheeky, but you could just watch this. No, I'm sure their information is far more than I'm going to be giving, but definitely already looking really cool. Just noticed here, you can see where the flooring shows you. You can show you better what I mean. So you can see here where the flooring meets the train track. That's pretty cool. Look at that. And then trains would have obviously gone into the station here. This would have been the other two platforms back in the day. So I think we best go in. Like you see here, you've got the basic history of the station, because North Road Station was, of course, the Darlington terminus for the old Stockton to Darlington Railway back in the day. So that's why we're here first. We're going to go off this way. And you can see here, this is the layout, see, so that's where you start off. That's where we are now. It's the main station building, which we're going to have to kind of work around the children that are here because there's schools visiting. And then the other couple of buildings here. And then we'll also go back out afterwards to where the car park is, and we'll have a look at the Skern Bridge. Right, so you can see the displays out on the old platforms. I've got these, look. I've got to show you this, it's so cool. I noticed in the video this comes up multicoloured, but it's actually makes them look like they're moving. It's really quite cool. And you can see they've preserved the fireplace as well. Very cool. Look at this. It's also, I'll go back through this way for a minute. There's also a rumour going round about the old Stockton Darlington Railway. The reason it's called Stockton Darlington, not Darlington to Stockton, is because Stockton weren't too keen on the idea of a railway in there. So they put Stockton's name first to try and keep them on board. Don't know how true that is, but it's a rumour that's gone around for a long time. No one can prove or disprove it. But I thought that's quite an interesting fact. In here, you've got a complete array of display to do with George Stephenson, because obviously this was his railway. We'll get to the trains in a moment. I've got this, which I think is quite unique. So you've got, press the button to begin, you've got yay or nay here. So you can vote yourself on the pros and cons to the railway and see whether, based on your votes, the railway would have been built, which is quite cool. Should we try? Let's have a look. Press left button to start. Standard version. Right, okay, let's have a look. The land for the railway is valuable much more than other land around it, so shouldn't be used for the railway. No. The railway will lower the cost for coal, everyone, because the transportation will be cheaper. I would imagine so, because they're selling more of it. Building the railway will harm the local environment, disturb the Duke of Cleveland's fox hunting. No, but if we're honest, if it does, we don't care. Passengers, especially women, might faint from the fast speed of up to 20 miles an hour. No. The new railway will attract more business, making Darlington an important industrial centre. Yes. The cheap train tickets will let lower classes travel more, bringing undesirable people to the area. No. There you go, see. So, we voted for the introduction of passenger railways, as to be expected. So, we'll now go and have a look at some trains. Right, so as I said, to the trains. So, what we've got here, we've got Derwent. Derwent is actually the oldest Darlington train in existence. Started out live here on the Stockton to Darlington Railway before being sent away and used in one of the collieries nearby. But you can see here how this is the early days still, because all this kind of thing here, see how like you've got the piston rods and stuff up here to go up and down. All this now on a modern, and I used to modern steam train of its time, going to obviously the likes of like Flying Scotsman, Tornado, etc. These would all be inside now, but on this occasion you can see this isn't the case, and also the main body is actually built of wood, not metal. But it's a stunning piece of kit. So the original rocket seat doesn't exist. There's a replica of the rocket just here. There's also a trailer, but there's school children on it, so I can't show you that. And you've got the original Stockton Darlington Railway bell there as well. All this stuff would have been from this station back in the day, but this especially is something that you just have to fully appreciate. You've got brake lever up there, and you can see it's far more complex to use than would have been the modern day ones, even down to like individual taps for each piston on either end to power the wheels. But that was, the engine was built in 1845. It was retired in the 1860s, but it's been preserved ever since, and it's been very well preserved, I have to say. Absolutely. It says here, as I said before, the engine was built in 1845 for the Stockton Darlington Railway by A. Kitching, founder of Westo Limited, Darlington, but subsequently purchased by Messrs. Please use on their private for use on their private lines, presented to the North Eastern Railway Company, so the NER, by Messrs. Pease and Partners on March 1898, and that's when this was formally retired, and it was looked after by the NER and then passed on after that, and it's been subsequently looked after ever since. Stunning piece of kit. Look at it. Now you're going to get a view I can't see, but I'm guessing that in here looks pretty cool. This would have held all the coal, etc. Look at that. And you can see there, that's where the coal firebox was. You can see the door, which I can't see, but I will see once we get the video back and I can edit it. Right, so we're now back looking at number 14363. It's like 146. I can't talk today. This one, I don't know much about this train, if I'm honest. Let's have a look. It's an NER train, obviously. 1885 Darlington. So this would have been one of the earliest type of trains that had, you can see already, a lot of the innards of this are hiding what you can see on the outside of Derwent and locomotion number 1, because you've only got the one piston up here now, but the whistle's obviously out there, and you've got the dome, and you've got a big long tank at the front now, with your coal box here at the back, and then your firebox there in the middle, so you're getting a much more kind of what most people assume is a classic layout of a railway there with the original NER paintwork on it as well. What I think is also quite cool, and I've only just noticed now I've come this end of the station, is the inside of the station. You still have the original overbridge, the wooden overbridge. So, and then you've got the original metal staircase here too. I'm not sure what would have been on the upper floor here back in the day, but there's another guy with another photo. Well, look, we're going to get Erica this time. Wait for it. Is she going to get on the sticker in time? No, she's too slow. It's there.
Oh, you do it the other way?
Ah.
It took a photo of you.
Look, it took a photo of me. Should we try and get Erica this time? Right, let's see if we can get Erica. Look at this. Enjoy the rest of the local world, yeah? Bye for now. That was pretty cool.
Right, I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But our event thing is in 3 minutes.
You're right, so in case you didn't know, remember I said they have some stuff on loan to from the Railway Museum. You have to book that separately because it's classed as an event, a special event. So that's what we're going to go do now, is we're going to go there and we'll come back and we'll finish looking at these. But these are stunning. Look at the carriages. The artwork as well is immense. Right, so Blade's having a chat with a gentleman who's here, teach people about locomotion number 1, this is actually the original locomotion number 1. And again, like you've previously seen on the rocket replica in the other station building, and this one you can see here again, if the light's not ruining the shot, all the pistons and stuff on the outside, big massive chimney at the front. This one's slightly different, so the water tank's at the back, gets pumped through into here, and then you have coal as well stored in here, so it's an awful lot to fit into a small engine. The other thing that's quite interesting about this is obviously a lot of things still had to be worked out and thought about, and locomotion never had any brakes. So the way locomotion used to stop is all the carriages the locomotion was pulling, each one would have its own individual brake lever, and those would stop locomotion, in theory. Didn't always work out that way, which is how trains end up having their own brakes. But yeah, these early trains, most of them didn't have brakes. The carriages did the braking for them. Hence why a lot of trains still, even come like tank engine kind of stages where the trains have been modified and a lot of these pistons and stuff were inside the train, you ended up with a brake carriage. It was a safety thing because you just didn't know, and they'd learnt the dangers of what happens if a train runs away. Just been speaking to a lovely gentleman here at Hopetown. So just looked at locomotion number 1. We've got these two here that are here with it. You've got this one here. We've got another one here. So these were both before locomotion number 1, but these were industrial, so they moved. Well, this one was working in a colliery, hauling around coal, etc. And this one was working, hauling around steel and stuff around in Wales. This is actually the first attempt at steam traction on rail, because you can see it's actually running on an L-shaped style rail, like you used to pull the horse and carts along when they were using those to haul heavy loads. And then by the time that this one come along, you switch the same kind of rail that then later on locomotion number 1 and all the others would use to then take passengers around. Right, so this is turning out to be quite cool. I was talking quite quietly in there where locomotion number 1 is, and it's industrial friends, because it's just so quiet in there. There's not a sound. I didn't want to be too loud, so we're going to go have a look at some other bits that I think are interesting. But before, we need to go finish the station, which we'll do in a moment. Before we do that, there's 2 other bits I want to do. One is check out this. So this was obviously a whole sidings area. They've kept the roundabout and they've marked it with this, which I think is quite cool. Little mini roundabout to show you where it used to be. Apparently all the workings are still underneath. It's just a plate to cover it over to protect it, which I think is pretty awesome. But the next thing on our tour, which is probably one of the things I've been looking forward to the most, is this. Now, I mentioned to you before about how this is where they did Tornado, the A1 restoration group. Well, they're still doing bits and pieces here, and they're currently restoring another train. So we're going to go and have a look at that and see what they're doing, because they have an observation deck where you can see what's going on. So let's go and have a look. Right, so there you go. So you can see everybody's on lunch break at the moment. You can see the restoration process there of 2 different trains. One's been completely stripped back to just its chassis. And you can see they haven't started yet on the tender for it. And then the other one here, there's a number actually on the side, so we can show it to identify which train it is. 2007, I think that says. Some of you know what that is. It's got a nameplate on the side, but you can't see it from here. So that's being done up. That'll be really cool to see when it's done. You can see the amount of effort that goes in. You can see that the wheels are just in front of the chassis being done. So this would have been the repair shed back in the day when it was still a train station as well, so it's still doing what it was built for. But I just think that's really interesting, the way that you can see the insides of the engine, because you can see how much of that's just hidden away. Repairing these is not a 5-minute job. You know, these days you get the AA say that they can't fix your car at the side of the road anymore. You can never fix that at the side of the railway in the first place. But So this would have been the exact same place that Tornado would have been done up. And I think that's pretty cool. We are right, it's 207. Just wish I could see that nameplate. Maybe I can zoom in on it when I get back. But it's too small right now. Well, that's a bit annoying. But that's really, really cool. So I thought that's a very unusual thing. So this viewing gallery is going to be open all the time. So whatever engine they're restoring, you can pop in and see how they're doing with it. And I think that's a really cool thing. Restoration of engines and stuff. I just had thought, I'm on an overbridge over the old railway, which isn't used. The station building is just that way, to me. You should be able to see the old track bed from over here. So have a look. Well, you can see, I can't see, I'll have to see when I get back. But hopefully, you've got a good view of the station area there. We'll see you when I get back. See. There we go. Hopefully that's right, trying to get you the views that other people can't. So, we've looked at the station building. We've seen locomotion number 1. There's a replica in the station building which we haven't looked at yet of Rocket, which we'll go and do next. And there's a gallery if I've got time, because I have to get back. This is a school day, obviously. Of course it's school day, there's school kids here, what a plonker. So if we've got time, we'll have a look at that. But this is definitely worth the trip if you're up anywhere near Darlington. So when I did the overview before, we were on this footbridge up here. I'm hoping you got a good view over this way, which is the way I was looking. Like I said, I won't know till I get back. You can see here as well, there used to be a foot crossing. Can't imagine crossing a foot crossing on a main line, but that must have been fun. There's so many remnants of what it was. They're not trying to hide it, they're not trying to disguise it. You've got the old North Road Station sign up, look at that. And you've got old abandoned platforms, so that would have been platform 4. Inside the station, the ones you can get to are platform 2 and 3. Look at these. These are actual original railway pillars from the original Stockton line. You can see they're very different. They're stone mounted individually on each stone, rather than what you'd expect to find on a modern railway, the big massive wooden sleepers. They were individually mounted on stone, so you had to line them up and everything. It's an awful lot of effort. You know, it's worth mentioning also, you know, obviously George Stephenson gets a lot of this because of locomotion number 1, but there's other people involved, you know, and obviously George Stephenson was also involved in the Liverpool to Manchester line as well. But then his son went on and he built a separate railway line. And then one of the people, another person, I've forgotten his name, it was off the top of my head, my stupid autistic brain, it's annoying, went off, Mr. Pease, his name was, he went off and he built the Birmingham line, so, Birmingham main line. So, right, let's go pop back in here first, and just finish looking at the trains in here. Right, so there you are. See, that's the replica of Rocket. The original Rocket, no longer in existence, but you can see here how Rocket blends in with all its other ones. You know, you've seen locomotion number 1 at this point. And then of course you've seen Derwent behind us, which is a much bigger, much more powerful train. But you can see it has similar style wheels to locomotion number 1. This one has a much more basic kind of carriage style wheel. You can still see evolution still working its way through, so the pistons are still very much on the outside, but not as blatant as they are on locomotion number 1. And of course, Rocket famous for being the first train to run the Manchester Piccadilly line. And you can see here he's learnt from locomotion number 1, so this one's got a bigger water tank, although it's still at the back and it's still being pumped through to the front. And he's still got a very small coal box, so these needed to be refilled up quite often. So for instance, on the inaugural run on the Darlington to Stockton line, for instance, locomotion number 1 had to be refilled 3 times with water and coal to get to the other end. Maximum speed of locomotion number 1 at the time was 12 miles an hour. This did about 20, and it took locomotion number 1 about, I think it was 12 hours to get from Darlington to Stockton. This one to get from Manchester to Liverpool, because it was going a bit faster, slightly less, but they hadn't mastered the art of the refilling station yet, or how much they needed to carry to do long distance journeys. By the time this fella came along, which you've seen previously, they sussed that one out. So they were carrying more coal and more water. They could go longer distances without refilling, and they'd mastered that out. But yeah, definitely, you've got to come back. They have got one thing though, because it's a 200-year anniversary as I'm filming this. I'm Stockton to Darlington Railway, and they've got one very impressive and very cool looking train here to celebrate that, so we're going to go have a look at that. So let's go have a look at that quickly before we go, because if I didn't show you it, I'd be very annoyed, and I think I'd diddling you slightly if I didn't show you. So here we are, look at this. See, Robert Stevenson, George Stevenson's son, and Hawthorne's and Sons, the RS&H Darlington. Isn't that the coolest train ever? The paint job on it is stunning. It's that kind of vibrant burgundy red that, if you're in London anyway, it's synonymous with the Metropolitan line. But I do like that red. Look at it. Little tank engine. Very reminiscent of Thomas the Tank Engine, if you watched him back in the day, which most boys did. So, what have we got here? Oh, it's an interactive map. Look at this. So you can look at the station throughout its history. So that's the 1820s. See, it lights up. And then the 1840s. See, now you've got a building. So you go to the 1850s. Now you've got a building. You've got some of the outbuildings, and the main station building is now expanded. Switch to the 1860s. Now you're getting a second line and a much more extensive station site. And by the 1870s, it's all fully running. And then this has been built up. This is representing the fact it's got a second floor. So that shows you over time. Every 10 years, this was changing. This is how the station building we're in now looked when it was still running trains. There is one other thing. You can see here perfectly, look how the railway used to run in. But I noticed this before we disappear and go look at something else. I'm not sure what else is left, but I would never forgive myself if I didn't show you this either. Because look how impressive this display is, by the way, as you walk through. You've got to come and look at this. Right, if you look through these windows here, see, you can see the old abandoned platform number 4. And if I can find one that doesn't have a pillar in the way, there we go. This one will do. I can get to this one better. Look at that. The old abandoned platform number 4. So this end isn't used anymore, and you can see there used to be another line there, which would be a through line on the other side here. But it's a long time since that's run. But yeah, platform number 4. They've still got the old station signs up here, see, look, pointing you to platform number 4 on this side and platform number 2 here, and obviously platform number 3 on 1 further up. But yeah, I wonder what we've got left to look at. Let's go have a look. And there we are, see, Skern Bridge. So you can see here it used to be twice the width, but they've actually taken one width off. So the only section that's actually being used now is the arch section there, which carries the current line through Darlington up into Middlesbrough. You can see it was much wider originally. It was built to go over the Skern, as you can see there. Now this is, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is the oldest railway bridge still in use, and indeed in the world. But yeah, unfortunately the Stockton to Darlington line didn't fare quite as well. You can see here where this section here has been botted on. So the original bridge with that very pretty sandstone arch, and they've added these bits later when they've widened it, because the outline used to be double track, twice the width, but they took it all away back in the 60s when Mr. Beeching cut back the line. So the Stockton to Darlington line, as it was when it launched, doesn't exist. You can't actually go from Stockton to Darlington at all. So, but this is, you can even see there, look where it's been joined. They can just built right in front of it. It's been here for years though. So yeah, built, love the echo too in the tunnel. That's a lovely echo. But yeah, built in 1825, still here. You can see it would have been linked across by a bridge there. That's now padlocked because the what would have been part of the building for the station section here is now private. So the bridge is barricaded off, and it'll be one of those, well, who has to keep the padlock? No one really knows. I'll probably imagine it'll be Darlington Council. Well, there you go. The wonder that is Skern Bridge. There might be more of a story in Skern Bridge, than to be fair. She may be back. We'll have to see. But another wonder of engineering from the 1800s. Right, so I've just been looking behind the bridge. You can see here you've got these are gas pipes that go across into that building over there, the east part of the station area. So I'm guessing maybe that's the main gas station or something now. Don't know. I'm sure somebody in Darlington can enlighten me as to what that actually is now, that building. But yeah, just thought it was curious because those obviously wouldn't have been there back in the day. So I wonder what that's for. If anybody can shed some light on that, that'd be awesome. Also, actually, thank you to the gentleman in who responded on the previous video I did on the Catterick Camp Railway, military railway, to let me know what that building was for. That's very interesting too. Right, so that's it from Hopetown. You definitely need to come here and visit this. Skern Bridge, awesome. We may have to come back. I don't know if there's more of a story behind Skern Bridge or not, we'll see. But otherwise, don't forget to have a look at that poll. Let me know what kind of videos you want from us, because I've still got a week of that left on the community part, on the post section of the main page on YouTube on a computer. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Take care of yourself. I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.
We have the railway to thank for so many happy memories.
Growing up in Darlington, I remember watching some of the new locomotives being built. So many people worked on the railways. It just brought everyone together. That's what I remember. The whole town coming together.
I'm very proud to be from Darlington.
This is where the modern railway as we know it started.
We owe so much to all those who worked so hard to build the Stockton and Darlington Railway.
They didn't know it at the time, but they changed the world.
For the better.
Right, I can use mine.